Good day, everyone. So in today's class, we'll be talking about inequality, and I will be explaining some concepts, important concepts on inequality. So what is an inequality? Inequality is a rule that shows the relationship between numbers or mathematical expressions that are not equal. Now calm down and let's break it down. We have greater than, we have less than, we have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Now, these four inequalities we have here, they are the rules I'm talking about. When I say inequality is a rule that shows the relationship between numbers that are not equal. Now, how does this rule show the relationship between numbers that are not equal? Let's take, for example, if you have 10 and you're greater than here, and you have 5. Even without, let's assume you don't know what 10 is, you don't know what 5 is. But saying this, you can tell that what you have on the left hand side is bigger than what you have on the right hand side. So can you see that inequality is that rule that shows relationship between numbers that are not equal? Now, if I should ask, what is that thing that shows relationship between numbers that are equal? Obviously, that is our equal to sign. That is equality sign. But this is not what we are doing today. We are inequality, and that is our greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So you understand what inequality is now. It is a rule that shows the relationship between numbers that are not equal. Not just numbers. You could have a mathematical expression. Let's say, for example, you can have x greater than 5. Now, saying this, it is still telling you that what you have on the left-hand side is bigger than what you have on the right-hand side. Can you see that we know the relationship between both quantities now? Yes, we know the relationship between this x and this 5 on the right-hand side. So we can tell now. So that is the importance of inequality. It helps us state, it helps us show the relationship between quantities or mathematical expressions or numbers that are not equal. Now, there are some rules and regulations you need to follow whenever you are solving any inequality problem. I'll be starting with rule 1. Number 1. The first rule says if you have two real numbers, a and b, two real numbers, a and b, this simply means AB is a member of real numbers. It belongs to the set of real numbers. That is how to interpret this. So when you have two real numbers AB, if A is greater than B, now pay attention to this first rule. This first rule, I call it addition and subtraction rule. I mean, when I say addition and subtraction rule, if you add to both sides of this inequality any real number, if you add any real number to both sides of this inequality, the inequality sign will remain the same. Please don't be scared here. If you have a plus s, let's assume you add x to the left hand side, you also add the same. It must be the same thing you'll be adding, okay? You add x to the right hand side also. Please take note, your greater than will still be the same greater than. It won't change. Do you understand? Actually, there are some cases whereby your inequality sign will change, but in this case whereby you are adding same numbers to both sides, it will never change. In fact, if you subtract also, the greater than will still be the same greater than. It will still remain the same. You don't have to get confused here. Okay, so this is the addition and subtraction rule. Let's move to the second rule, which I call multiplication and division rule. Now, if you have the same two real numbers AB, if you have the same two real numbers AB, and you multiply both sides of AB, let's take for example A is greater than B. If they say A is greater than B, now if you multiply both sides by, let's take for example A times M, also B times M, okay? Now this greater than will remain the same if and only if this greater than will remain the same if and only if m is positive, that is m is greater than 0. Yes, so please take note. The greater than will remain greater than if m is positive. So that means if you're multiplying both sides of your inequality by a positive number, then your inequality sign will remain the same. Now let's move. What if you're multiplying by a negative number if m is less than 0? What will happen? Your inequality sign it is a must for it to change. So take notes. Whenever you are multiplying both sides of your inequality by negative number, your inequality sign will change. Initially, it is greater than we have, right? But after multiplying both sides by negative number, it changes to less than, right? Yes. So please take notes. Likewise, division. If you divide both sides of your inequality by positive number, the inequality sign will still remain the same. If m is positive, it will still remain greater than. Do you understand? Yes. But if you divide by negative number, it will surely change. Please take note. So when you are dividing or multiplying by negative number, what will happen? Your inequality sign will change. So you need to be careful. Students have to be careful here. When you're multiplying or dividing both sides of your inequality by negative number, it must change the inequality sign. So that means if you want to multiply both sides of your inequality, or you want to divide both sides of your inequality by anything, you need to do a check if that thing is positive or negative. In my next class, I'll be teaching you how to check if an expression is positive or negative. So for now, I need you to understand these rules we have here. So the first rule is the addition and subtraction rule. Our inequality sign is unaffected. Whether you add or you subtract both sides of the inequality by the same number, the inequality sign will remain the same. But when you are multiplying, you have to be very careful here. Do you understand? Now, there is one last rule I need to talk about. If we have 1 over a greater than b, and you are told to find a, what would you do? The fastest way of finding a here is by finding the inverse of a. What's the inverse of a? Inverse of a here is simply means bringing a up and bringing 1 down. Do you understand? Yes. When they ask you to find the inverse of something, look up here. Let's do this here. If I ask you to find the inverse of a simply means 1 over a. If I ask you to find the inverse of 1 over a, it's still the same thing as 1 over that thing. Okay, so inverse of anything is always 1 over that thing. So that's 1 over a, which is the same as, write your 1. This over, what does it mean? Over means divide, and 1 over a, we can rewrite it like this. Do you understand? It doesn't make sense the way we have over, and that's why I had to write it this way. Now, what do we do after this? You can change your division to multiplication, and once you change your division to multiplication, it won't still be 1 over a you will have here. A will come up, 1 will come down. That's a over 1. 1 times a is a. So what does that mean? Inverse of 1 over a is a. Do you understand that? How did I get the inverse of 1 over a? I only divided 1 by that 1 over a. Inverse of anything is what? Dividing 1 by that thing. Do you understand? Yes. Inverse of b is 1 over b. Inverse of w is 1 over w. Inverse of 1 over 2 is 1 over 1 over 2. Inverse of 0.5 is 1 over 0.5. Just make sure it is 1 over that thing. Then that's the inverse. So coming to this place, we need to find the inverse of 1 over a, which we know that it is a. Now, after finding the inverse of 1 over a, you need to find the inverse of the right hand side also. See, in the rule of mathematics, whatsoever you do to the left hand side, you must do to the right hand side of your equation. Okay? Yes. Whether it is an equation or an expression, Whatsoever you do to the left hand side, you must do to every other side also. You must do it throughout. There is no partiality in mathematics. Okay, yes. So since we have found the inverse of our left hand side, we need to find the inverse of the right hand side, which is 1 over b. But now your inequality sign will not remain the same. It will become less than. Take note. So whenever you're finding the inverse of both sides of your inequality sign will change. So this time around, we are not multiplying by negative number. This is inverse. So take note. If you want to find the inverse of both sides of your inequality sign must change. So I hope you understand all these rules. Always stick to these rules whenever you are solving any inequality problem. So in the next class, I'll be giving us examples on all these rules that covers up on all these rules, and I'll be solving as many questions as possible on inequality till you get it perfectly. So if you like this video, type understood in the comment section, and also don't forget to give a follow. Thank you.